Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Geek Verse review. Oh boy, I don't know what I am. I'm the clown prince of podcast, Trash Snail.
And then I'm Heartcaster Dylan.
Well, I'm your friendly neighborhood caster, Kirklin.
Yeah, so none of those nicknames had anything to do with what we're talking about today, but we're talking about You Season 2. We're going to get into our non-spoilers thoughts, give our overall thoughts, and then we'll get into spoilers. We'll let you know. We'll do the countdown. We'll drop it. Other than that, go check out. We just dropped 2 massive decade casts. We did a video games best of as far as top 10. We revealed our own. We did a collective one. We talked about gauntlet matches. That's a 3-hour cast. And then we did a films Golden Geeks decade. That's a 3-hour cast. And we got a bunch more stuff coming out. And then I think January 10th, I'm pretty sure is when we're going to reveal our full-on phase, or not phase, year 5, where we're doing Geek First. Taylor's working on all the logos. He's working on all the thumbnails, so you're going to get to know what retros we're doing, what exclusive Patreon shows. There's something really big happening in the summer this year, which is going to be weird, but you'll get to find when Gauntlet comes back. It's going to be like the Marvel phases, that whole thing, but there's one for us. So
and we don't have Kevin Feige. Well, I mean, we're all kind of
We'll have someone in a hat. It'll probably be me. I'm not quite Kevin Feige.
You'll
do people that wear hats.
Yeah. So, yeah, just look out for that. And then also right now for the Golden Geeks, if you want to participate in the fan vote, that's the voting's happening right now for the movies. We're just doing best film right now, but just head over there, drop an emoji, and you get to pick the winners. So not our winners because we picked that, but for the fans, let your voice be heard. It's been pretty spicy. One poll was a complete just runaway, but then the poll we got going on right now, there was like a 3-way tie at one point. So
what is the current one?
The current one is the Inception, Once, Logan, Spider-Verse, and Joker. And I'll reveal right now that all the comic movies are tied at like a bunch of votes.
What about Inception? Not getting the fanfare we were expecting?
No, it's the comic.
Came out too long ago.
We're like, it didn't come out this decade.
It's like Zelda Breath of the Wild. It doesn't feel like this decade, to be honest. It was so long ago.
It was long ago.
It was in 2010, but what month of 2010?
It was like July. It was in summer.
Okay, so just barely sneaking in there.
Yeah, crazy. But you know who loves to sneak? Is Joe/Will Goldberg. We're going to be talking about...
He does have a high sneak stat, doesn't he?
He does.
And like lock picking and stuff.
It's like enchanted hat.
Oh, yeah. You want him on the team. I'm going to throw it to Kirklin because we never got his thoughts. He was on the season 1 review. Check that out if you want an in-depth on that. Me, Dylan, Taylor, and Briggs. Nope. Jessica and Briggs did that.
There you go.
So, Kirk, what do you think about the first season quickly, and then what do you think about this non-spoilers?
Yeah, so first season, I didn't really know what the show was, except for Travis just telling me to watch it, like with my significant other, because it's kind of like I don't know, I felt like a love-hate show for the first few episodes. I felt, even, I don't know, I'd say most season 1, I wasn't like too sure if it was supposed to be a serious show or like it had comedy elements, but then it was like a thriller, so it was really interesting, like mixture of genres. I felt, but like it ended really strongly. I felt like it was a show that kind of had some good suspense there. You were finding yourself like rooting for like the main guy, even though he's kind of doing some questionable things at times. But this season,
some questionable things.
I don't want to spoil it for people.
Yeah, fair enough.
But this season, so yeah, overall, I liked the first season. I wasn't like, I need to get season 2, because I was never really too interested in like the Candace stuff. I don't know. It left with a cliffhanger like with Candace at the end of season 1. So I figured we'd be touching upon that in this season. But
I don't want to spoil anything. The season ended with a cliffhanger with Candace, which is fine in season 1, but just those two things back together.
I was hoping they'd seen it by the time they got to here.
I bet they have. If they haven't, I don't know what they're doing.
But yeah, this season I just fell in love with it like right off the bat. I think it was it's tough because I wasn't like expecting to be on a review while I was watching the episodes, so I wasn't really making notes or like fully absorbing everything that was happening. But overall, I just remember really liking it. I like how we're in a new like location now. It's got like a lot of like millennial type jokes and like vegan type jokes and just stuff like that. And for the majority of it, I think that comedy worked on me. And it's funny how a lot of the characters they introduced just have ridiculous names, like just
40.
Yeah, 40, Love. There's a couple other ones that I kind of laughed at, but unfortunately I didn't write down.
I just realized, is that a tennis pun?
40?
40 and Love? Because love is what you...
Love 40.
Yeah. Love, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought about that right now when you said them back to back.
Damn, I didn't think of that.
I think you're right on. That has to be.
They don't play tennis in the show. Spoilers.
No,
they do.
Those two?
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do. They totally do. That's it.
totally
They
what it
cracked
is.
the code.
Yeah.
That's why I come to Geekverse.
It's minor spoilers, but yeah, because they get in an argument because Love's
Yeah.
like
But
really
just the
pissed off
one
about something.
time, right?
Just the one
It's
time.
not like a recurring thing.
Yeah.
It's not like they
No.
play tennis.
But they had tennis gear, so it shows in the past they have done it
Yeah.
before. But there you
True.
go. Tennis might be a big thing in the
So
family.
I wonder
Totally.
if, I'm gonna tweet at the whoever. I don't know who. I have no idea who makes the show. I
Tweet at
gotta
Penn
know.
Badgley, the guy plays Joe.
Yeah.
Or was it because
Yeah.
he's like, I don't fucking know.
That's funny. But yeah, overall I liked it from the get-go. I found myself in an interesting situation where there's a lot of characters that I loved and hated at different parts of the show. I related to like Riverdale. Like I don't know if anyone's ever seen that show, but like Cheryl, that's a character that I just loved at parts and also just hated. But like I found like I hated her in the beginning and then I ended up loving her, and I felt like it was similar with like 40 for
I
for
had
that
that experience
Yeah.
too.
yeah. And yeah, but for I don't know, are we doing like spoilers for this? I can't remember.
We will next.
Okay.
Maybe let one of
Geek
us two
versus
go.
Symbol. Of course. I'm not going to go into that. I just wanted to ask.
Wow.
with you
Yeah,
guys.
like we like to take turns. Here. Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a solid season. I felt like a lot more like hyped going into each episode than I did in the last season, just because I felt like there was a lot more like, holy shit, where is this going to go? And like plot twists that I really liked.
Yeah. So if you watch the first season, you think it's worth it to go ahead and watch this one as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll pass it along to you guys.
Sure. So my history with this show, obviously I was on the original review, watched it, because I think to me it just had that Dexter appeal to it. Dexter's one of my favorite shows, ripped seasons 5 through however fucking many it had, I can't even remember. But
eight
yeah, I like that.
seasons.
I like that. I don't know, that type of character where you're really in their head and they're really deranged, but then at the same time they like always have these justifications for what they're doing.
Yeah.
So really interesting. The first season I liked it, but I haven't gone back and listened to our review, but if I remember correctly, I think my biggest kind of problem with the show is that I felt like there was a lot of, like, the main character was doing really stupid things, and there weren't, like, repercussions for it. Or just in general, there was, like, some silly, goofy stuff in the show, and I felt like it wasn't taking itself very seriously. Which, you know, if you compare it to a Dexter, to a Hannibal or something, like, obviously those shows are very serious. They have, like, a comedic character or something, but for the most part, that's not, like, the way the shows are framed. Whereas this is just a very different show. So I think going into season 2 with my expectations, like, a little bit better adjusted for what this show actually is, I ended up enjoying it a lot more. And there is still tons of stupid stuff in this show, like whether that is, like, a plot thing or just, like, some weird character thing or something that doesn't make sense, or like your main character just doing really stupid stuff and there not really being consequences for it. But I think I just kind of expected that stuff this time around, and I know that the show's not taking itself as seriously. And so I think because of that, just the way I set my expectations, I ended up enjoying it a lot more. I still have those problems, but they don't really bother me. Like, I wouldn't really bring them up as problems, more just like funny things, I guess. So yeah, I think if you watch the first season, then this is a pretty easy watch, I found as well. Like, it goes by pretty quick. Like, each episode, at least in the back half of the season, I feel like each episode has like maybe like a concept to the episode, or like a theme or something, and they tackle it, and it's like really fun. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but this is that episode. Each one you can kind of attribute something to it, and it has like a fun twist for each episode. So as for the story, I think it gets even more bonkers and even more crazy than the first season in like a really fun way. That's just like, just give me all the drama. Like, it just gets so crazy. You can't really foresee what's going to happen next.
No.
But at the same time, it does, like, obviously, as Kirklin said, it's like a new location, but I think it does very much mirror the first season in a lot of ways as well. Like, it still is the same show. So I think if you like the first one, then go ahead and watch this one. There's definitely some fun moments to talk about. And I think, as you brought up with the characters, like, obviously, being in a new location, we have a whole new cast of characters other than your main guy and a couple other characters that may pop up. But and a couple of them do start out kind of annoying, but I think I grew to like all of them near the end for what they were. So I'd say it was pretty successful, and this is like this is a very kind of unique show.
Oh yeah.
Not that it's like some masterpiece, because it certainly isn't, but it's just a fun show. And like, when season 3 comes around, like, I'm definitely gonna tune in, because it's just a dumb, like, easy show.
Yeah. That's a good point that you brought up, just like adjusting your expectations.
Yeah.
Because like going into season 1, I had no idea what to expect, right? And then especially going into this one, it's like, okay, I forgot how like silly they take themselves at
like
parts.
it's kind of unfair to, like, in my mind, to compare it to Dexter, obviously, because that's just like one of my favorite shows of all time. So I'm naturally going to do that, but it's not, like, the show's not trying to be Dexter.
Yeah.
It's trying to do something different.
In a
So.
show like Dexter too, like the similarities to this one would be like him talking to himself and like narrating, and
Yeah.
I just loved all that stuff too. That's
Mhm.
something I forgot to mention on my non-spoiler.
Yeah, and I think even the way they do that between the two characters is very different,
Yeah.
right? Where Dexter's like very realistic or like
No, yeah,
telling the truth, whereas Joe
it's from his point of
is
view.
just fucking wild.
Yeah.
And,
Oh
like,
yeah.
you don't know. Like a lot of it is that kind of unreliable narrator
Totally,
stuff. That's
yeah.
pretty fun. So, what do you think, Travis?
Yeah, I loved this season. I loved the first season, but I understood all the problems, but it was just so kind of fun and it's cheesy and it's just kind of I think what that season did and what this season does, and we're talking about why it's like a unique show, is just I think it has its pulse on main cult or pop culture really well and stuff that people, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or the way people view themselves, or like we're talking about with veganism, all the stuff that are like things that get memed right now. The writers of the show managed to, for the most part, do it in a way where it doesn't seem out of context. Like sometimes movies, TV shows do that about something that's currently happening. Like, this feels cheap. Like they don't.
Yeah.
But this feels it's real in the world. This feels like a show that when you watch in 10 years, you'll be like, oh, this was 2000, like 2018. Like it feels like
Totally.
right now. So I think they kill that. I think Ben Badgley's still great as Joe. He is like this weird sort of like bizarro Dexter, but like he is Dexter, but nowhere near Dexter. And that I'm the same as Dylan. That's why I originally like the show, because it scratches those vibes, because it's a guy who narrates, has a different view on the world, and he's a killer, right? So that it kind of hits those, but then the show's very different. Their motives are very different. Even in the show, Myers Boys, they make a joke about someone calls them or jokes about him being like a Dexter-like character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they even knew after season 1. Everyone's like, oh, this is just like a Dexter knockoff. So they're like, oh, let's make a joke about that. You know, like it's not fourth wall breaking like Deadpool, but it feels like that some way. It feels very meta. So I like all that. The girl that plays Love, I was a massive fan of her in I don't think I can pronounce her last name. It's Victoria like Petritti. But Victoria
Italian.
Petritti.
Italian.
Yeah, so
Bortolami.
I was a huge fan of her in Haunting Hill House. To me, this establishes, Travis always loves to do this, I'm throwing my big star stamp on her, because I think she's just going to be a massive
She was
actress
in Once
next
Upon a
year.
Time in Hollywood as well,
She
right?
was. I missed her, apparently. I heard that.
Well, I think she's just one of the
Manson girls,
one of the
yeah.
hippies, yeah.
So I'm excited to watch
Oh.
again, because I had watched some video and I was like, oh, and she was in this. It's like, I missed that. But I think she is great in this show. I think especially because Beck was an interesting character, but they did a good job with making Love different. I also think that the first 4 episodes of the season, it did feel not repetitive, but very same as the season 1. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this just feels like same thing. We're after a different character. We're after a different thing. And that kind of worries me, because Dexter was like that too, where Dexter and those later scenes got very repetitive of just, there's a big bad, Dexter somehow gets involved. And I thought that's the route we were going. But I think in the middle of the season, there's a really nice shift. And especially the last 3 episodes, I was on the edge of my seat for quite a bit. And how they ended this show was phenomenal, and I think they set themselves up for season 3 to actually not be the same as what we got the previous years. Like, I
Yeah.
think they really just flipped the table, and now we'll get into spoilers, but season 3 has multiple things where like, oh, this is not going to be like Joe just walking into a bookstore being like, oh, you know. So those last 3 episodes had me on the edge of my seat, and same thing as season 1. I think every episode, even if it's a weaker episode, they always end it or do something where you're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next, or how's this character going to get out of this situation. They always do a good job. The side characters are really fleshed out. So yeah, I just think they did a great job. I think they did what every season 2 of a show should do. You got to build off what you've done in the past, but make it better, raise the stakes, and it did that. And I was worried when I first started watching, it was feeling repetitive, but they took some good turns, and I'm very happy with the show. And now I can't wait for season 3. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be a very interesting show, I think. So
That's
yeah.
a good point that you brought up, how like the end of this season, I already know that it's not going to be like the start of like season 1 or season 2. Like it's going to be different,
Yeah.
just from how they left it off, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty interested on how they tackle that.
Like this is minor spoiler, not minor. This is spoilers for Dexter. So skip 3 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but it's the way that after when last chance in season 4, the finale, when Rita got killed, you knew the next season, okay, things are really gonna shift
Yeah.
for this character. And that's not saying anyone dies here or there. It's just this show ended with that sort of way where it's like, okay, the entire map has changed. And I think that's smart, because I think if they did another season kind of like this, you would just be like, oh, it is just repetitive and it's just kind of Joe being Joe. So anything else non-spoilers say? I recommend it if you like the first season. If you've not seen it, this is your first review, I'd say give it a chance if you like the things we've kind of compared it to, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm trying to think, when did the first season come out?
Well, the first season actually out, I have no idea, because it was on Lifetime. It hit Netflix December, because I remember
So it's been about a year.
Yeah, so it seems like every December, and season 3 has pretty much been confirmed, so it's gonna be on the way.
Has it? Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else non-spoilers wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not that I can think of.
All right, we're going into spoilers. 3, 2, 1.
Geek versus Symbol.
Where do we want to start here?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I'll start with something that I think is just kind of a weird little storyline. I'm curious what you guys think of it. So at the start of this season, he he's getting set up in LA.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting this whole new vibe, and then he has he rents like a storage unit to act as his new like base of operations. And it's just like the exact same as the first season. Like so much so that
It's
I'm
like the same
wondering.
set.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I think they're trying to save some money here, recording the same set.
They just moved a few shelves around, but it looked it looked a little too identical for me. Where again,
Yeah.
that's like this show where it's a little like, all right,
Because I think I was in the same boat as Kirklin, where I was just kind of watching the show. I didn't know if I'd get through it in time for review or something. I was kind of taking notes on our decade cast, so I wasn't really paying 100% attention at the couple early episodes. And then I was like, wait, isn't he in a new city? Why does he have the exact same base? I kind of missed it at first, and I was like, oh right, he just I guess set up a new one in the storage locker here.
Yeah, and that's where we bring up like the conveniences these characters have. That's why for me this is never at the way this show functions. It would never be like a 10 out of 10 because you think of something like Dexter and Hannibal. They're always so careful and they talk about how they do this. He has this storage unit. He's bringing bodies in and out. Candace, like we're in spoilers now, she gets killed in the fucking hallway. But and especially in LA, there would be cameras all over the storage thing, but they just hand wave it like, oh, this is the one storage in LA. It doesn't. So there's so many things like that where it's like, okay, we're rolling with this, you know, we're doing this. So
it's it was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But I guess the bigger question there is, I'm just curious what you guys think of that storyline. So when he comes to LA, as well as getting this new shop and new house and whatnot, he kidnaps a guy and kind of takes his identity, and that's kind of who he becomes instead
Will.
of Joe. Yeah, he becomes Will
Bettelheim.
Will Bettelheim.
Penguin in the Gotham show, he was great in that.
Yeah.
So
Shout outs
Hey.
to that fact.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he kind of takes this guy and he's using his identity to live for a while, and then eventually he lets him go, and then they're like homies. I don't know. I know there's this thing of imposters, or what's it called?
Thick as
Imposter
thieves.
I don't know what is it imposter syndrome? No, it's not imposter.
Stockholm.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was thinking of. Where you start to develop a relationship with the person who was capturing you or something. But that's definitely not the vibe I was getting from this show. It just felt like he calls him up on Skype, and his girlfriend answers oh look, it's Joe, and then they're just shooting this shit. I just thought it was super weird, and I don't know what the solution is. I think the easiest solution is he could have just killed him or something. But I don't know. What did you guys think of that storyline? Was it not very jarring for you that they were just pals?
Yeah, that was definitely if there's anything in the show that I kind of just let go by my I don't know, deep thought, it was definitely that.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were watching, I'm like, there's no way this guy's getting out alive. Just him risking his entire life on the fact that he's just gonna let this guy go and live his life somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I didn't put too much deep thought into it, but if I wanted to come up with an excuse for it, it would probably be that they're pretty similar in the fact that they were just basically using different identities and living a sort of double life. But again, that's stretching. What about
a
you?
weird choice.
I don't. It worked for me for two reasons. One, it worked. I'll go this route first. I liked it as just this Will character maybe is also a crazy psychopath, and it's just game respecting game, and that's where I kind of for future seasons that Will's gonna be his guy in the chair that he's gonna call on Skype and hack in this person's account. I think that even though the show is unrealistic, I think that helps a bit with realism if he has some friend somewhere that is great at hacking or great at getting phone passwords. So I like that for the future. I liked the Will character. I like him in other stuff too, I just shout out, but I liked it because it was a good subversion of expectations because he thought he was going to for sure kill him. And that's the second part that I like, because this whole season is almost not identical, but it's very much like Dexter season 2, where Dexter season 2 was he was trying not to kill and he met a crazy chick named Lila. This is he meets a crazy chick named Love and he's trying not to kill. So I like that this showed that he was trying to be a better person. We'll get into the pilot. They did one thing I didn't like, but the entire season he does bad things, but the comedian, he doesn't kill him. That's accidental, right? Will, he lets go and he doesn't want to kill him and it pays off, right? So the whole season, that's why I think that worked for me, is it's showing that if you do good things, it paid off. I think it would be shitty if he did something good and then it didn't pay off. It kind of what is the message of that? So I think they're trying to show Joe trying to rehab. So that's why it worked for me, because it's if I am a better person, maybe things will be good for me. So
Yeah.
it worked for me. Is it a little like flight risk that he just hoped Will wouldn't say anything? Yeah, but that's what I kind of
Right.
like. That when he just Skyped him and he's just like, this must be a fake number. There's no way. And he's like, what's up? I'm in Tawana or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so I somehow liked it. I liked all their interactions too
Yeah.
because it gave someone for Joe to talk to that wasn't the
That's
listener.
a good point because I think
Yeah.
if this were season 1, that thing would have just drove me crazy. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's really stupid. But when we look at it this way, it's like it's someone for him to actually like be friends with. Because I guess he was kind of there with 40, but obviously that's kind of out the window, you could say. And then
Yeah.
obviously the relationship he has with Love is very different than the kind of relationship he'd have just with like a friend figure, someone who knows how fucking sketchy
He can't
is,
tell her
and
everything,
someone who's
which we'll get
also kind of
into.
sketchy in
Yeah.
his own way.
Yeah.
So I think it will lead to some fun interactions, but it is also strange because unless I'm remembering wrong, like after he lets him out, is it only that one phone call that they interact? Like it's
Well, he kind of sends him some mail, right, with a postcard. And
Yeah,
it has like
right.
the hangman stuff on it.
Okay.
I think that they're not talking, but it's
Yeah.
some
Right.
interaction.
I think it is just the one call to get some advice
Yeah.
because he helps him again
Yeah.
hack somewhere. So I think
so.
they,
I'm curious how much he's going to be used in a later season because he could very easily not show up ever again, and
Yeah.
and it's not like the show would be broken without it.
Yeah.
But I am curious how much they're going to use him because obviously they kept him alive for a reason. They could have had a scene where he kills him.
Yeah, I think sparingly. I could see him being in an episode or two. I think he'll just get in some sort of bind, especially next year. If it goes down this route and he has problems with Love, she has a very
Yeah.
powerful family, so clearly he's going to probably need some help. So
Right.
that's where I don't think he'll be
Mhm.
back in town, but same way as Skype do this for me. I think I could see him appear once or twice. The same way that I actually thought Candace was going to be in this season a lot more, and she was, but more sporadically than I thought. Because
Yeah.
the pilot, at first I thought, to be honest, she was a ghost. Because that's the only thing I had a problem with this season, like other than the inconveniences and the like hand waving, is I wasn't the biggest fan of storyline because I just didn't buy. Okay, I understand the cops are not helping her; they don't believe her, but the whole like I'm gonna like go into your life and really risk my life being on the line and
Yeah.
not doing the police. Like I kind of
Yeah.
get that was the most soap opera-y the show got of just I'm gonna date your girlfriend's brother.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
wait till you
Oh,
screw
yeah.
up. It was just like the risk in this is just
Yeah.
like just kill him. Just do like I just feel like there's so many other ways. But so I just feel like Candace. That's why I initially thought she was a ghost because I'm like this plan does make no sense. And then once Love was talking to her and I'm like, oh no, she's a real person.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that I liked her as like an antagonist, but the plan was really I don't buy this, and she was just kind of
Yeah.
there to set up the love turn.
I think she was
right?
she was probably like my least favorite character
Yeah.
in this
Mhm.
season. Not even because she like is set up as being really important in the first season, because I think she does serve a big role in this one, and it is kind of interesting. It is like I don't know. It's just funny how like over dramatic that whole sequence is
Oh,
with her
yeah.
and 40, right, and just being in this relationship. But yeah, I think that one ended up maybe falling a bit flat for me. I mean, I guess it all kind of hinges on the moment where you find out what's up with Love, like
Yeah.
truly, right? And that's kind of the switch of it. But I don't know. I think it was probably my least. I don't know. I probably liked her the least out of any.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think like the early stuff in the episode I kind of liked with her of just basically her being the reason why he's on the run and has to leave like town. And then at the end how it reveals like Love has some shit going on and
Mhm.
obviously she's the one that kills her. So I like those two things, but everything in between, yeah, I didn't really care for. I thought they could have used her in a better way. Like just like the plan that you said, I didn't really buy it as well.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem very logical to me of just being around this guy that you just know like tried to kill you once.
Yeah.
So
And they never, to me, made it clear if she really liked 40 or if she was using the entire time.
I'm pretty sure she was using him because I think they
Yeah.
have an interaction where he's like, "Oh, he's such an idiot. Oh, I just hate being around him." Like
Okay, maybe I
between
missed that, yeah.
Candace and Joe.
I feel like she didn't
Okay.
really have any personality outside of I'm gonna take Joe down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's maybe the problem we have with her is she
Yeah.
was like a little one-dimensional in that sense. I will say though, I love that first scene where he like he realizes what's going on. I'd say at the wedding, or was it a wedding or
No, there's the spa getaway or whatever.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a Welkin or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
it's
They have
some
like a weird name for it.
it's some weird midsummer level like
Yeah.
cult meeting.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all wearing like same
Yeah,
clothes.
Yeah, they got a
Exactly.
hug after every sentence. Like, all right.
Yeah,
here we
just like his internal dialogue when those
Yeah.
when his I guess his narration when that whole thing is happening is just really funny to me.
go. Mhm, yeah.
And
She does a good
she's
job.
just being very over the top, like really all over 40, and just like that sounds like a fake name. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and that stuff was
I
good.
thought
Like
the
when,
dialogue was really solid.
yeah, when she
so.
gives 40 the book, I liked it initially. I think there was some fun because you're like moving in your seat. I just think it went on for so long where it's like, what is the plan there? And then I did like the multiple times how like Joe would spin it on her to make it seem like she was crazy, right? And obviously once we found out love was maybe not all there, that she was just forcing this shit. But I liked that he did figure out small ways. So it wasn't something where it like killed the show for me, but it was definitely, I agree with you guys, like my least favorite.
Well, I think she
part.
didn't even have as much screen time as we're making it seem.
She
like.
disappears for quite a while. Like she's in those.
There's
first
multiple episodes where she's not even there at all.
Yeah,
So.
or it's just 40 talking to her over phone, but it's like, well, we don't see that, right?
And
so
like, I'm glad she did come back at the end because originally when Love like paid her off to just disappear, I at first I thought we weren't gonna see her again. And I'm like, that's kind of like weird for her to just get killed off the show like that.
Yeah.
Something I forgot to mention, like how I said I didn't like anything in between like the intro stuff and the end stuff, was like what Travis just mentioned, how it was explained like Joe was basically just trying to like gaslight her, like make her go crazy, and then they kind of show that happening like when he buries her, and then she, obviously the cops like aren't gonna believe her, and then at the Welkin, whatever you call it, it's like they're renewing their vows or something.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
So like there again, he like kept saying things that was just like, I don't know, like making her seem like she's going crazy. And I did like that stuff, but they just didn't tackle it that much. I felt like they only did it like once or twice. And then, I don't know. Some lost potential, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the worst. But I think another... I mean, obviously we talked about him having like this prisoner. What's the guy? I guess his name is also Will.
It's
so
his real name is not his real name, but yeah, his new name, like his name that he picked was Will Bettelheim, and now he's Will Bettelheim. So
so
we'll still talk about Joe as
the
Joe.
real Will.
Yeah.
The real Will is a friend, but the other dynamic that I ended up really liking was just at his apartment complex. He has like the
Ellie,
I guess like the landlord, and then Ellie as well.
Ellie and Delilah.
Yeah, the sisters. And I really like that aspect of it because it just like as it develops, like. And as there's more interactions and like more like funny moments or whatnot, like he starts to care about them more, and it feels. I mean, he's just such a weird, distorted character, obviously, because he has no he doesn't care at like he has no remorse for like anything he's doing. Yet at the same time, he still like cares about people and really wants to take care of Ellie. And then he obviously doesn't want anything to happen to Delilah as well. And I just thought that whole dynamic was really interesting, and then even like little clues, because Delilah has like that cop boyfriend who will just kind of like put little things in the back of her head, and then she starts to suss him out a bit. So I don't know. I thought that whole dynamic was interesting, just as like, because I feel like before he was always just in his apartment, just like hitting up Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and that was what you'd get in the downtime when he's by himself. But instead, they replaced it in this season with these interactions just in their apartment complex.
Well, remember season 1, he did have that little kid he kind of liked too, remember? I can't remember what his name was. Yeah. He was like, his mom was with an abuser and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
I couldn't remember, like, and I wonder this time next year if I'll remember about these characters as well. Like, I like them in the moment, but at the same time, when it comes to You season 1, there is like a lot of those smaller characters I don't remember.
Do you think Ellie could make a return in the next season or no? She's
I think
gone.
so.
Yeah.
I think the family will want to find her and Joe, because I don't know if Love fully knows that Joe's sending her money. So I think if that could come up as she finds out.
But I also
Joe,
felt like that could have been a way to write her off.
100%, yeah.
So
I just think that door's open for maybe not even next season, because I don't know how far Love goes, but I think we could see her down the line.
What would her role be though? Because she's like obviously just disgusted by Joe.
I think Joe to go protect her. Like if Love and her family found out she was still alive for the alibi, like to keep everything up. I think Joe would, because I feel like clearly like we got a very much Gone Girl ending on our hands. When the end of Gone Girl, minor spoilers for Gone Girl, skip ahead, but it ends. That's a 8-year-old movie now. When that movie ends, it's a way where she's pregnant and Ben Affleck has to stay with her, and he loves her to an extent, but it ends with him being like, I don't know if I wake up every morning, I don't know if I can trust this woman, right? That's clearly what Joe and Love are going to have. They're not going to be able to trust each other. And I think that's what's going to happen, that they'll be together. But obviously we already got that neighbor tease. They're not going to, it's doomed to fail. One of them's going to die. It's likely going to be Love. That child's going to happen. Maybe it's not next season, but that relationship.
That's where I'm wondering where Ellie fits into that. Like, I feel like that would be a side story. I don't know if that, I don't know how I could see that tying into the main plot.
I could see there being some sort of way that Love has Ellie dead the rights, and maybe Joe's thinking about leaving her, and she's like, if you leave me, we're going to kill Ellie, and he's kind of forced there.
Right.
I just feel she could be a bargaining chip at some point down the line.
I think to me, it's just because, like, Delilah is gone now.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. They could
So-
easily never touch it back, but if there was, same thing like the Will thing, they could never touch it, right? But if I think there's things that are open, and I love that, like, Joe has this affinity for kids that are maybe in trouble or have bad childhood. We saw a lot of flashbacks this season of him with his mom. Like, that was a big storyline. And that's what I like talking about Dexter. Dexter is this way where he's a guy that views himself as a monster, but he does good things. Where Joe's the other way around, where he views himself as a good person, but he does monstrous things. And that's what I really liked about this season. I was touching upon earlier that he was really trying to rehab and he's really trying to do good. The only thing I didn't like is if you look at this whole season with Love, there are so many times where he's fantasizing about her at the beginning. It's like, I'm not doing that anymore, blah, blah, blah. Other than the comedian, which he kills. But again, that's kind of not, for a good reason. He's a bad guy, right? So all the things he did are very Dexter-like, debatable. I didn't like the very first episode, that whole reveal of he got the job there to go after Love and everything like that. I wish the entire season was he was really trying to do good, and then he gets linked up with Love, and it's like, because they make you think that he killed Delilah. So I was saying, he is just a monster all along. He's stuck in this pattern. But to me, the season was showing, he is trying to be better. He should still go to prison, still die for what he's done, but he's trying to be better as a character. But I didn't like him falling in love initially, because it just was like, we're kind of doing the Beck thing, and it just, I would have liked if it happened kind of spontaneously, and then it's just like, this is a sign. But I
think you make a good point. Like, it could have been a very, like, similar show, and they could have written it that way, and it would have been fine.
It doesn't change anything.
It would just change, like, I guess I guess, like, that in between of what happens from the end of season 1 to the start of season 2.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess they just maybe really wanted you to think Love was innocent in this situation, or like he was still a monster, which I still got from other things he was doing, like still hacking people's phones, stuff like that. So that's just one thing I wish, because the rest of the season he was kind of being as good as Joe can be. So I didn't like that beat. But other than that, I liked him trying to redeem himself. And that's why I love, like, we'll talk about Love, but I love that when he eventually finds out who Love really is, he does, like, he kind of loves her at the end, but he doesn't really, because what he wants is the perfect, nice girl. He doesn't want a version of himself because he thinks those things he's done are really bad. So that's why I love that. At first when it happened, I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. They're going to be, I can't wait for
duo,
season 3. Yeah, they're just going to be like Hannah and Dexter. But no, it's the reverse, where he is already, the season ends with him like seeing the neighbor and thinking of, I can get out of there. So that's what I love, that Love is the perfect match for him, but she's a monster, so that's not good for Joe. So I liked all the, like, psychology that they did with him.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I was actually, I liked the reveal, how it was like all of his plan to like find Love right away, because it was definitely like an interesting dynamic of just trying to see himself like cure himself, be like, oh no, I'm not like that anymore, I'm not fantasizing about people anymore. And then, but like when it got to, was it that episode that
it was the very end of the pod?
Yeah, so the very end of the episode, I don't know, I thought it was good. I agree with you, they probably could have done it later on, just to like keep like
that was the other thing.
On.
First episode was very straight, like it was, I don't know why they placed it there, but they did.
It was just like one of those things though, where it's like when you find out it's all his plans, just like, oh okay, well he's definitely just fucked in the head if he thinks that he's like trying to get better meanwhile he's doing all the same things. So like, I don't know, for me, I took it that route, and I liked it just for the quality of the show.
And I guess they can kind of spin it any way they want, because that's what's great about him as the kind of narrator and pushing the story along, is that he can kind of paint whatever as he wants. Just come up with these weird justifications.
Very
unreliable. And for Love, I didn't mention it in the non-spoiler, but I overall just loved her performance throughout the entire season. I thought like she was selling those emotional scenes like so well. This is the first thing I'd seen her in. You'd mentioned she's
Haunting
in Haunting Hill House.
You should watch it. It's only 8 episodes. It's really good.
I think I only watched a couple episodes, but I knew I recognized her for something other than Hollywood.
She's somebody I got my eyes on in the Super Bowl draft. I'll say that. But I just think like Naomi Scott. I think in a few years she's gonna blow up.
I think you might be right with that one.
Yeah,
she's pretty good.
I look at her and I see a rogue right there. Like that to me is perfect casting. Now. But it's just like you said. I think she just sold everything well. Like especially when she does the switch to psychopath, it's believable, which sometimes cannot be for an actor. You go, oh, this isn't working. But everything she did was phenomenal.
Yeah, I loved her. I thought her performances were just exceptional throughout the entire season.
Exceptional.
What did you think?
Use that word often.
How did you see the twist coming on or anything like that? Because I didn't. When she killed, the second she was throwing up and Candace walked up on her, I'm like, oh, she's gonna kill her. But up until that point, I'm like, this is very interesting. Like they've caught Joe in episode 7. Like because because there is only 2 books. I was convinced, episode 10 he's gonna get arrested and this is the end of the show.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're following these books, and then this is not a thing in the books. They took a turn. So I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, that was 100% my thought. I don't know. I was just because like when you're getting to the end of like the season, you're like, hey, how's this gonna end? Is he gonna escape somehow, or is he gonna kill Love, or like what's gonna happen? And then especially like when Candace got him in the cage, and then she goes to get Love, and then when she actually showed up, I'm like, oh man, this is like the end of the show, really. Like I don't know, I didn't know how it was gonna end, and then. Even when she's like puking, I was like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know if he's gonna or if she's gonna kill her. I don't know. I just wasn't really dissecting it that hard, I guess. And then when it happened, I was definitely like, holy fuck, she is in it, like to the end.
Yeah.
And then from that happened, I kind of like got in my mind that maybe she was the one that actually killed
Delilah.
Not Delilah, 40's.
Oh, 40's maid,
Yeah.
lover, or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was the
and
one.
she was the one. So I was like, oh, she is just fucked.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting. And then same with you though. I was definitely expecting them to be like a duo, and then like him to be super happy that she's like him. But then when he wasn't, I was just like, wow, this is really interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I was so already sold. I'm like, I can't wait for like a Joker and Harley Quinn like season these two. But then already it seems like we said, he's happy up until he sees that neighbor. So it's gonna be interesting. And even though when I was watching it, they do drop little hints. Like she says, like, oh, I've done a lot of bad things in the past, stuff like that. Stuff that I thought that maybe she might have some like even though we were talking about Stockholm syndrome and love Joe, but I didn't think it was going to be this whole reveal of like, yeah, I'm a fucking psychopath too.
Yeah.
So I really like
especially because they
they
kind of layered on that storyline with her and her ex-husband and how that would like. There's some details missing, but overall, it just sounds like something that was very damaging to her.
Yeah.
Obviously, she says that a lot in the early episodes, so I think they did a good job there of like not thinking that. I don't know. At least putting enough depth into that backstory of her that it keeps it interesting. You don't know what. To expect
No,
next.
totally. And then like just the relationship that she had with 40 and how she's just basically been like his angel, like his whole life.
Yeah.
So like the stuff that happened with her her ex-husband who passed away, and then like just her caring for 40. I'm like, oh, she's just like a very like passionate and like honest individual. But then obviously I was wrong about that. So I thought that twist was pretty cool. But I wasn't like. Let's see. I wasn't like happy or unhappy with like the reveal of Joe not like digging her like psychopath self, because I think I was like you, where I was just very hoping that he would be pumped on it, because I don't know, it just opens up for some exciting things in the next season. Like maybe they're just taking out, I don't know, people with each other. But even then, if that was the case, his whole thing is he just chooses like one individual, right, that he just falls in love with. So I don't know. I was pretty unsure during the moment, but the more I've sat on it, I don't know. I think it's exciting this way because it just, like we mentioned before, it adds a new dynamic to what season 3 is going to bring. How he's basically like trying to get rid of Love.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
I will say though, like, I don't know, the setup for, the whole Delilah, like that whole Delilah murder mystery episode, I think is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it's
100%.
so good. Those two
It's
back
so
to
good.
back, I think, because he also has the LSD episode before that, and that's so good when he's seeing his mom and he's talking love. And
he sees Love with the big eyes.
The
I
eyes
was
were
laughing
so
Those
good.
two episodes are like a great like short story 1-2 punch. It was really well done.
I really
moment.
felt the end of the those last few episodes were just like punch after punch after
Totally.
punch. They really kept it up.
Especially like the dynamic of like the alarm clock or the stopwatch like constantly coming up with like what time it was, and it felt like impending doom.
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's like he needs to get out of
I
it.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was good. This ticking clock of like 2 hours, and that's the only thing that was predictable. But I liked it. You knew at the last moment Love was gonna be like, "You should stay," and that's where it's just like the second he gets that, he's still high on drugs. Delilah's dead. It was just so well executed, and that's like because. That's later on, but like this episode, even the part when 40 had the gun, I didn't know what was going to happen with 40. I didn't know if he was going to join them, they were going to let him in. I didn't know if Love was going to actually get shot, and I thought, they were going to be a duo, but she died. I at one point too thought that Joe might die and the show might transfer over to Love. So
I was wondering if that was going to happen.
Yeah, right. And that's why I applaud, like, especially we've seen so many movies and so many TV shows, and we've been doing this for like over 4 years. When a show or movie can get me really question what's going to happen, I applaud it, because I think it's hard to do nowadays because we've just seen so much in our over 20 years of life.
And I think it was great the way that whole, like, obviously it's really fun for the viewer. Murder mysteries in general. That's what I'm all about. I love my bluffing games. But I think it was so great because it even just shined so brightly, like how fucked up Joe's thinking is a lot of the time, right? And how he just blames everyone for stuff, right? And he's just like, he comprises how exactly, like, I think he goes through like 3 different characters at least of like, they did it, and this is like how they did it, this is why they did it, and it's just so much fun to to see that side of him. Just his like that's his primal instinct, right? Is to just shove all the blame on like other people and then think about, okay, how can I frame them, or like how can I
put the blame
how
on
can
them,
I yeah, how
the
can
guilt,
I how can I get the track off me and send it their way. I thought that was just that was just an excellent episode.
And I love that at the end of the episode when he finally sits and he's locked in that cage, he finally puts it all together of like, oh, like when he did think he killed Delilah, even all this stuff. Like I love every time they bring up cops or investigation, he's always like, Beck, Joe, like he lists off all the people he's killed and stuff.
Totally.
But I liked at the end he was fully he was ready to go to prison. Because he easily could have lied to Love and said, Candace is crazy. She locked me in here, killed Delilah. But no, he was ready. That's why it's exactly like Dexter season 2. He's like, I did this. I killed Guinevere. All this stuff. And I really like that. And then obviously the big switch happens. But I love Joe's whole journey in this show. And they did a great job with it.
Yeah, I really liked, again, the internal dialogue, like you said, like naming off all the names. And I mentioned the non-spoilers, like all the narrating he did, but especially when he was following Candace and then he saw like the private investigator guy and he kept like thinking to himself, like, did they or like, is Love following me? Does she know what I did? And then like he just keeps like with getting like hit with those situations. It's funny too because we mentioned the non-spoilers, how like he's so like not a professional, like how a Dexter would be or something, where he just got all of his bases covered. So like in that moment he's really like, did I fuck up? Like he's so unsure about like what's gonna happen
because he's like, oh, there's still a jar of piss in Peach's house somewhere, which is gonna I think that's gonna come back because the way they
funny because I was like, I remember hating that moment in the first season. I was like, oh, don't talk about that.
I still think because they shut out whenever he does get caught, it's gonna come back. That's
a good point. They have like there's a lot of stuff as you mentioned the kid like that from the first season. I totally forgot about him, but yeah, the fact that they brought that up in this season is just like keeping it in your mind in case they want to use it.
100%. Because I think whenever he does get caught, there's just gonna be this like laundry list of things he did, and like I still think that that jar of piss could be like the start.
And
I
remember that was
honest.
Something that I'm gonna guess it was you or Briggs or something on our season 1 review, or all those things that bothered me, like he should have got caught or this should have mattered. And you were saying, well, maybe he'll get caught in season 2 and like they'll bring it all together. And I wonder if they'll do that someday after when the show's finale, or they don't have to do a finale like switching over to another character. Risky, but I mean they could try it. Fuck it, why not? If it's a successful show for Netflix, try some stuff. But that could be really fun to see, like a culmination of all those storylines from multi seasons.
Can't find this kid. Oh, Paco. That was
Paco.
the kid in season 1. Yeah, and he had the mom who had the abusive father.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't touch on Delilah. I liked her and Joe's relationship, that it started as just kind of tenant, landlord, and they kind of got friendly, but she was like, you're a weirdo. And then I liked that they hooked up because that was like a nice wrinkle. I was worried because that happened last season where he broke up with Beck and then he met with his neighbor, right? So that's why for a while in that middle, I was like, we were really just redoing season 1 here because Love dumps him and then he starts hooking up with his neighbor. Right. So I was starting to get disappointed of, we're going down this route. Clearly it takes a much more windy road. So I liked that. But I liked Delilah too because I think she could have been a really generic character, and I think the first few episodes she was just a bitchy tenant or landlord, but then like you learn about her past, you learn that her and Elle like bicker a lot, but she cares about her. So I liked all that, and I liked that Joe legitimately felt, because there's people like Benji and whatnot, but Joe legitimately felt really bad for killing Delilah, and even though he didn't, but still when he thought he did not want to go that route, and I liked that he was going to let her go, and Love kind of gone the way.
It sets it up so well because she has she is kind of generic in the first couple of episodes, but because she has that whole storyline with Hendy's his name, right?
Henderson.
Hendy,
yeah. Like because they have that whole storyline with her, and they do give a lot of time to it, so it's cool because she's like an active agent in this world. She's doing her own stuff, and that's great because it leads into that moment where she makes her way all the way to the storage locker, and then once again, like it makes that murder mystery episode even better because we've seen all this time of like how he he didn't want to harm her or do anything that would harm Ellie, but he didn't like lead her there in the first place, right? That was because of something she was doing as a character. So because they gave her a lot of time to kind of blossom as her own character, I think it worked out really well. Yeah, because it just added so much suspense to the end of the season. And now I'm curious how Ellie is going to fit into things now that she's not around. But I think it was a good way to close that character out in the end. Yeah. Because obviously I just was raving about that episode in particular.
For Delilah, I agree. At first I didn't really care for her. I thought she was just like this snobby LA like landlord, kind of
Mhm.
bitchy, but like the way that they used her, I really liked it, 'cause
Yeah.
you feel for her when it like explains like some of the things that she went through, and then like the pressures of her trying to like raise Ellie while like just having her
Right.
own life and stuff like that. So, and then like the stuff that was going on between her and Joe when they eventually like started hooking up, I just thought it was
They
hilarious.
get
I
arrested
loved it.
in the street.
Yeah.
That was some fun stuff.
Yeah.
And even early on, just like how she keeps calling him creepy and stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause that's always fun too, because we know what he's done. and
Oh
it's,
yeah.
it's funny when characters like catch on to just his natural weirdness, because
Like Dokes.
and there is it's like there is little things too. Like I think she comments on the fact that he like took a long time to respond, right?
Mhm.
Because you were you were getting that internal dialogue moment. She's like, "What are you doing?" Maybe it wasn't her. Someone did that.
Someone
at some
does
point.
that. They call him out, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I was just thinking," or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. So I like that addition too.
Yeah, and the other person I want to show is just we talk about non-spoilers, but 40 was someone that was a character that I think on purpose was supposed to be very annoying.
Mhm.
But I liked in the middle of the season that Joe and 40 became like this little duo.
Oh
and
yeah.
I hate it in a good way, just because I was on Joe's side. Just like he gives them one idea for a script, and then every day he's like, "We're writing this, we're doing this." So it's just like that was fun. But eventually, no, 40 became a character I liked and was kind of pulling for. I understood he was still like a flawed character. Clearly, he's a drug addict. He's making bad choices
Yeah.
with Candace. But I loved their little buddy duo, and I like that. I did like his ending because it kind of, I think, leaves the door open for again more kind of conflict with Love and Joe, because he's kind of the reason that 40 ends up dead, right? Love, I think, understands at this point, but I think it's something that's gonna fester a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think 40 was very well done, from on purpose being annoying to being a
Yeah.
sympathetic character. So yeah, good job.
Yeah, I don't think I have much to add. You kind of said it all, but
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, too often you'll get like that kind of annoying character, or especially in this case where it's like the annoying brother of the character that your main character's in love with.
Yeah.
Right, like we've seen that 100 times, but the fact that he had a story of his own, and kind of transition once again from that basic character at first into one that had his own story as well, and he was
Yeah.
doing his own stuff, and that leads to that great moment that Kirklin was talking about of like the timer ticking down. And the reason that's so
Yeah.
suspenseful is because, well, I mean, I guess it's because of his timer that, like, he's the creation of that timer in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah, but like just like adding on top of that, when 40 like kidnaps him, because it's like, oh, he has such an easy escape out of this, and then it's like the only thing that go wrong is if he gets held captive somewhere, which is exactly what happens. And like the Russian dude that they had they had there like holding all this stuff, I thought he was hilarious too.
And even that he just fucking sends it out that window at the end too.
Yeah.
like-
Oh, totally. I was honestly expecting that to be like the death of 40, like just dying on
I did
drugs.
too,
Like
yeah.
It's pretty wild.
only like 2 stories, so not bad. Yeah, overall I really like the usage of that character, because of course probably like 99% of other people that saw him, like from the first time that he gets introduced, it's just like, oh, I hate this
Mhm.
character, I hope he's not in it much or something
Yeah.
like that, right? But of course, like what Dylan says, he's the brother or the twin brother of like the Joe's like lover in
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
season, so it was
And
it
he
was a funny
intersects with
dynamic.
the other characters well between
Salami
Yeah.
nipples.
salami nipples.
Remember the girl, the friend of Love's dead husband? Every time we walk
Oh,
in there,
yeah.
what's up, salami
Oh,
nipples?
right,
It was
right.
just something random I really enjoyed that he would call him, and then they get in their little spat there. But
Yeah.
I think he intersected well with. I mean, he had relations to Hendy as well, and then even at the end, kind of attaching to Ellie as well.
Yeah, yeah.
working with
Yeah.
her. So I think he connected well with other characters outside of just like. Instead of that's what I think I like about this season. It's not just like Joe and then all these characters that are connected to Joe.
Yeah.
It's Joe. All these characters are connected to him, but then there's also other alliances and
Totally.
Yeah.
and connections as well.
No, I agree with that. And then just again talking about 40, like, it was I love like the usages that they had with him in this season. How like a lot of stuff that Joe, Love, and like some other characters had to like deal with 40, and like his
Oh,
drug
yeah.
addictions and stuff. But then also like at the end when 40 is kind of like cluing in on like Joe's like a murderer and all these things, but nobody's believing him because
No.
they just think he's on drugs. So it was just really cool dynamic, I thought, on like how they use that. And I don't know. I thought it was an interesting flawed character that they had, and like a lot of good usages, as well as like what you just mentioned, how he also was like he knew Delilah, he knew Ellie, like he knew all these other characters that Joe was interacting with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to add on this season? Because I have 3 questions for season 3, but I'll wait.
Well, I like that there was a big Lebowski reference early on in the
Below.
season with
Yeah,
the painting of the nails. And
I
don't
really
know
like
much
the
else.
the relationship that Ellie had with Joe. How it was like he's like really like book heavy, and then she's like what would you call like pop culture,
Social
like
media heavy.
social
Yeah.
media and like movie references. Like they're just giving each other recommendations.
She
I thought that
builds
was
his
fun.
Instagram page for him and
Yeah.
everything. Tells him what he should and shouldn't be posting and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and like how to use it properly.
Yeah, all the comedy stuff I really like too is when he went on all those dates after Love.
Oh, yeah.
really
That was
fun.
my
Like,
other note. I love that dating.
I
that
was
dating
loving
app
that.
little like suite. It was so.
It was
good.
like their own Tinder, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
Flinger, I think it was
Flinger.
called. But it was funny, like how he was taking photos for like girl. He's like, "Oh, you probably have a better camera." It's like, is it in portrait mode? It's just like, man, I've been there. That's hilarious.
oh yeah,
They
Yeah,
all these
dating
photos.
apps are fucking awful. So I like that they capture
Yeah,
how
yeah.
terrible they are in that.
And like
short
that one,
sequence.
the one date they have so much in common with the books, and then she just starts like monologuing and crying at dinner. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
we should get you an Uber.
Yeah, like she was the one that was like, "Oh, nice, she's gonna be
Yeah,
the one," and
yeah.
then she just ends up
Yeah.
just fluttering out.
Yeah, it was really good, all that stuff.
Yep.
So
I forgot to like give my take on the shooting scene or whatever when 40 got shot. I totally, like, again, I'm trying to complete the season in my own mind as you're getting close to like the end of it, which is funny. But I totally thought Joe was gonna die there, especially when it showed like the gun on him and then he falls to the ground. I'm like, I can't believe they actually just did that. So
Mhm.
shouts out to them for doing that shot, because I obviously fell for it. But I was also just like thinking in that moment how the show was going to end, and then it also just led into when Joe got caught by Candace and then Love found out. Like, so at that point I was 100% convinced that he was actually going to die or go to jail this season, and then the show would just end like that. So I was a little like bittersweet in that moment, because I was like, I don't want him to die or like get killed off or in jail, because then we're not going to get the show
Yeah.
anymore. But I was also just thinking how the show would take a different route if they wanted to make more seasons, have Love or someone take over for him, or I don't know, Paco comes in, it's just like the baby Dexter taking over
Paco.
people.
Mhm.
I don't know, it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that scene was really well done, just like the suspense of it. But I also like that the cop that eventually does it. Like, it's a character that we've seen a few times before and
Yeah.
has like a mini arc. I think that's something I compliment when we're talking about Daredevil all the time. Is like sometimes they just throw this character Maloney in there. He doesn't have like a huge storyline, but it's nice if you have like a familiar character who can
Yeah.
fill that role of just like that cop character. And he doesn't have like, he's not a different character from start to finish by any means. He doesn't have that kind of arc, but I still think at least there's enough intrigue there. He's a character that you know and are familiar with, so it makes that scene a little bit more complete at the end as
Then
well.
just a
so-
random guy, right?
Yeah,
Especially if he's not in
random cop.
uniform, you'd be like, who the fuck even is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't get to take Delilah on that date. Poor
No,
guy.
poor guy.
Nope. Yeah, so for season 3, I want to ask 3 questions. So how do we think him and Love are gonna? How do we think that's gonna go down?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's realistically, it's going to be like, that's not something you're going to clean up in a couple episodes and move on to the new
No.
girl. Like, that's going to be a season long endeavor of one. I think it's going to be interesting because I think one, obviously, we already see that he's got some attachment formed for this neighbor
Who loves books
through the
and
picket.
reading and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's already fantasizing, right? But I think he is probably going to search for this inner thing where, like, maybe she is the right one for me, even though we've already seen that he's already kind of averted away from that. So I think, I don't know, I that's going to be a really fun interaction. And I'm curious how, like, obviously she's about to be a mother. Like, do you think that's going to happen? Or is that one of your questions as well? Like,
That's
do
what
you-
I was gonna bring the child. Yeah, we can put them together.
yeah, like, I guess, is she going to be committing any more murder in this season? Or is she just going to be kind of chilling back, a little more motherly?
Yeah, I guess you could pose the follow-up question on how how much later is this season gonna happen? Like, is she actually like 9 months pregnant at this time?
I think
where
the baby will
could
be there
born?
when we pick up.
Oh yeah,
That's my prediction.
Okay.
Because if they follow Dexter, that's the same way Rhea was pregnant, and then when we picked up, it was a baby. I bet it will pick up with.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, you could be right though that it still could be, because I know they could get Jones some situation where he has someone in his trunk, and then Love goes into labor, and it's just like, what do I do? Like, this person could go into prison, but I'm gonna miss the birth of my child, a la Breaking Bad. So I could see maybe, but I think near the tail end, either there's already a baby or she's about to pop any day
Oh, okay.
now. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure on that one, just because it seems like Joe already found this next person, right? And then she didn't look that big. Love, I'm talking about, like, how far along do you think she was?
was?
Yeah, no.
We saw her hand. Kirklin. How do you?
She didn't look that but like
Not very
Love,
fit.
I don't know, she definitely had a bump, but like she
Yeah.
didn't look like she was 9 months pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could
don't
even
know.
see, like, with how dramatic this show likes to be, I could see that there's like some scenario where it's not his child, and that turns
Well-
into some
Oh, no.
other like fucking weird storyline.
Originally, I didn't think that she was actually pregnant. I thought she was just lying.
Oh, that's honestly a strong possibility.
But she did have the
but
bump.
she has the bump now.
There's cases where people have like the fat suit or whatever you call it. So
Arrested Development showed us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great storyline.
I bet for sure she's actually pregnant.
Okay,
I bet there, because I just think also Joe with a child, I think it's the same way when they introduced it in the Dexter of like, how's he gonna be a father? It's the same way. How's this crazy murder unreliable narrator? How's he gonna be as a dad? Especially you're gonna get flashbacks probably with his dad more and more of his childhood.
Yeah.
So obviously had a rough upbringing. So I think there will be for sure a child, and that's gonna play. And I think Love to me is gonna be. I'm
just picturing in Arrested Development because she has like a very fake fat suit, and then he finds out about it. I'm talking about Paul. Oh my God!
Jason Bateman.
He finds out about it, and so he goes over and like reveals. He's like, "I know this is a fake," and then she has like a full latex one, but you think it's real, and then she later like reveals that one's fake as well. So good. I love that show.
So I think, because this is where I was going to tie in the third question of like what's going on with the neighbor, and would love to put my thoughts. I think she'll still be the main antagonist because I think there's two things that's interesting with this neighbor. She has a wedding ring on her finger. So one, I think there will be. I think he's going to have an affair with this neighbor. So you have two things. He's going to have to deal with her husband as well. And then I also think Love is not going to know for a while. But I think the second Love finds out that he's having an affair with Joe, or the neighbor's having an affair with Joe, that she's going to want to kill this neighbor and Joe's going to try to stop it. And I don't know if that
seems plausible.
Yeah, I don't know if that results in Love killing the neighbor and once again they're stuck together, or if it results in. I could even see her still being pregnant and she kills the neighbor and Joe's ready to kill her, but once they see that child, that like brings them back together. But that's what I think it's gonna be. He's having an affair and she's gonna find out, and it's gonna be about Love going after that neighbor, and maybe Love even tells the neighbor's husband and gets like.
She's probably gonna find a telescope in the attic of their house.
No, she's gonna find a box. I bet. Again,
a box.
Remember, he had
like
Beck's
underwear
box
and stuff.
Oh,
right.
Well, I just mean like in their attic, she's gonna find a telescope where he's been checking out the neighbor. Or something,
all
right?
the same signs. She's gonna find and she's gonna figure
jar
it out.
Of piss.
Yeah, but then that's where I think she'll take the Joe route, like she already did in this season, where she'll start setting things up. Like I said, maybe tell the neighbor's husband, like, "Oh, I think something's," or leave hints so maybe she doesn't have to deal with her. But I think that's what's gonna happen. And my last point is they won't do this, but they used to do this in old school Hollywood. My wish for whoever plays this neighbor is if they got the same actress that played Beck, but because it was brown hair, so make her look different, give her different eye contact. So it's like that kind of uncanny valley where he sees her and it's not Beck, but that's why he's attracted to her because it looks like Beck. And I just think it would be fun if you had her come back play a completely different character. Not gonna happen, but they used to do that a lot in the old days.
You could even pull it off with like where he sees the reflection of her face for the first time and he like pictures that, but then you see her actual face and it's like it's a different person. I
will say one thing I'm disappointed with. I thought they were gonna use Beck's ghost more. I thought they could have done more with that, and she was only in one episode for very little, so it was just to be like, look what you did. I think she could have haunted him a bit more. So I was a little disappointed with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they could have turned it up a bit on like the basically her possessing him and like just being haunting, because there was some stuff. I believe it's when she's in. Or he's seen her rather, like in the human aquarium. I think they referenced it, and then like she's like showing up. Like I did like that stuff, but I agree with you. I think they could have turned it up more.
Yeah, because I guess there's more. Like Candace in the first season is even more haunting than.
Oh yeah, and they have lots of Candace flashbacks and stuff, so it's fine. Maybe she was busy doing something else, but she was there for even the episode.
Yeah, I guess a lot of it is flashbacks. It's hard for me to remember, but I guess you don't really need those for this show because we already know what happened.
Even if you could only get her back for one episode for what if it was scheduling conflicts or something, I just think they could have used her a bit more even in that episode. But I'm sure maybe Beck will come back, and I'm very excited for Love to be the antagonist. Like I said, I feel like this is exactly what if we got a sequel to Gone Girl, that's what this season's going to be. It's going to be what would happen, Ben Affleck staying with this murderous woman who's pregnant. That's what this season is. I can't wait for that because it's a complete flip of what the show is. So
yeah, I didn't give my two takes on what I think. I guess what's going to happen in season 3, but for Love, I still think we're going to see that PI again. I think he's going to come back. I think she.
Maybe that's how she finds out about the affair?
Yeah, I could definitely see that because although she is in love with him, she's still the same person. So I could see 100%. Her just having that PI on him, and then
he's proven to be good at his job as well.
Absolutely, and then
the best.
It'll be interesting whether or not like she finds like a telescope or something, like some hints, or maybe she just sees him like talking to the neighbor and being like, well, this is kind of sketchy, I'm gonna do some further digging, or she just has the PI following him ever since basically this season, and then Joe kind of finds out and they have some like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, battle about it.
And did you guys take it that because that was her mother, right? That was
Yeah.
standing there. Is she living with them or was she just visiting?
I took it as
Because that could be a
visiting.
thing as well. Like if she's not living with them, do you think they're gonna turn their house into like they're gonna have a kill box in the basement? Like what's going on there?
I think there's a chance. I don't know what story reason she would have to live there, but I could see them finding a reason to get her mom there because I just think that adds another layer.
There was a lot of weird tension.
Yeah.
Between those
I think that
characters.
adds another layer of it gives Love more scenes with their mom. It gives Joe more scenes with the mom, and especially if she's having an affair, maybe she finds out about the affair first, and Joe's like, "Do I kill Love's mom to shut her up or something?" Like either she's living there, or I think Love's mom is around
She's
quite a bit.
also a
Yeah, I think she's
murderer.
gonna be
like,
She could be. That whole family's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like
Pretty fucked.
they've covered up multiple murders. They pay off cops. She beat her children. So yeah, or beat her children, not
Beat
beat
it.
it. Beat it. But yeah.
I liked when he was on like LSD as well, and then like Love has the big eyes, and then her mom just has the demon eyes. She's like, "Oh, your
Yeah.
mom is a demon."
yeah.
I need to save you. No, I can't. That's the LSD. That's the LSD.
Yeah.
But
that's
yeah. Anything else on season 3?
There's a couple of things I just remember that I want to shout out. One was like the list of what is it? It's like Angelico. It's like the list of things that make you a permanent LA resident. One of them
Yeah.
is like a flaming palm tree. I just loved how he like kept seeing them like subtly, and then like when he heard the coyotes, he's like, nope, not hearing that. So I don't know. I thought that was funny. I don't know if that's a real thing if like LA people talk about, but
I bet it might be, or some variation
Yeah.
of that, because these are all like Hollywood writers. So maybe there is some sort, or maybe even with their friends group, it was something like that. But that sounds like a very LA thing. So
yeah, I thought that was hilarious. And the other thing I forgot, so it's probably not that important.
Dang.
yeah.
What
Yeah, I
were you
don't know
guys?
if I have anything else. I thought this is just a little detail, but when after he takes out Hendy and their like blood mixes because of that Roomba,
Yeah,
I
So
thought that was
good.
pretty funny
Yeah.
because they kind of set up that he had a Roomba.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
little
I
detail.
remember what it was. It was when he's basically going into that house where like Candace is renting, and then like that dominatrix just like takes him. I thought that was hilarious because I was very much expecting like Candace, but obviously it's not her voice. And just like that character, I thought was hilarious, and the interaction that they had together. How he just like turns it into some weird like
I wanted to
kink thing,
surprise
yeah,
her,
like
yeah.
fetish thing. Like I just thought that was hilarious. And then she's like, I don't even know what she
She's
says,
like,
but
you're not the type for bondage,
Yeah,
sweetheart, or something. Like she just
Yeah.
completely
you're trying
misreads
too
it.
hard. Yeah, I just thought that
Yeah.
was hilarious. I was laughing hard at that scene.
Yeah. Here's a little last thing for season 3. Are Love and Joe both alive by the end of the season?
That's a good question.
My prediction is yes, because I think what's going to happen is Joe and this neighbor find out they are the perfect match for each other. They love each other, but Love kills that perfect woman, and they're still together by the end of the season. But maybe the season ends with Joe being like, I have to figure. I think this season will be about him with the neighbor. I think season 4 could be about how do I get rid of Love after she took this girl, because I think that's what's going to happen. This girl's going to feel like the perfect one finally. Love takes her away.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. They'll both still be alive, but it'll be very much like House of Cards, where they'll sit up like
Right.
next season's mono. They got to protect the kid. They got to fight each other. Maybe they're even going through a divorce, like
Yeah.
something that way. So that's my prediction. They'll both be alive, and that neighbor is dead meat, unfortunately.
When I think about that question, like as much as you pitched it, like they could have maybe transitioned it, like if Joe had died and you transitioned
yeah,
to Love.
love. Yeah,
It's a funny idea, but at the end of the day, I think he's pretty dang good, and I
Yeah.
think they really want to keep him. So I don't think they'd kill off Joe just for that reason.
Mm-hmm. What about Love? She makes it.
That's the tricky thing because there's so many different ways the season could go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have guessed this season would have went this way. So that's I
Yeah.
applaud them. I hope next season's like this again, where we're talking about like, oh, it went wild.
I would say it's kind of 50-50
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my mind.
I can't wait for that poster. It's gonna be like a
Man.
full on like them like kind of like their faces morph. I'm excited. It's
It's like
gonna
the
be good
poster
stuff.
for Civil War.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think we'll
With
get
the baby in the
do you
middle?
think we'll get more like narration from her point of view as well? Like, do you think
I
she'll
bet you
kinda
could get
answer that?
one episode of that, like the same way we got the LSD
The-
episode. You could
the
get a
love
full.
episode?
I think the
Yeah.
episode, if there was an episode where she found out about the affair, you could get a full episode. Because I did
Mhm.
like the finale. The first half was all like her, like Joe. She was narrating her
Right.
point of view. So I bet we could get one more. So.
Yeah.
Or I would even like the flip of even if Joe ended up surviving and going on to season 4, if season 3 was from her perspective, because it's her trying to figure out what Joe's up to. I
That's
wouldn't
true.
mind that at all. Or you go
Yeah.
a two-hander where each episode you go back and forth. There's lots. That's a good thing with her being such a good actress. They have lots to play with.
And that
so.
would
Yeah.
be interesting as well to see. I mean, her perspective's also kind of twisted, but just
Mhm.
to see Joe from that perspective for
Yeah.
like a lot more period of time, like more of the actions he chooses.
Yeah.
So. God, it's
Yeah.
kinda interesting.
I agree. It's hard to say whether or not she'll live or die, because like we've already mentioned, it's just there's so many ways that they can go with it. Because if they, I don't know, I could see it. Maybe she's trying to kill like the new neighbor, but then Joe kills her in defense. But then alternatively, I could also see her being the one that kills the neighbor, and then Joe has to, like, I don't know, deal with it in the next season. It's just it's hard to predict, because like we've already mentioned, I just think she's such a great actress, and I do agree with you how they would want to use her in like cool ways like that. But
Plus
I really don't know.
if she dies, there's no like the rest of it where Joe can just kind of be like, with Beck, he was like, oh, we went on a few dates. If she dies, that's the mother of his child. He's, and what do they always say
And
in
the
every
whole
cop
family.
show and Dexter? It's always the husband, right? So it could even end that way where she does die. But season 4 is all about, he is this kid, he wants to be there for his kid, but all the eyes are on Joe now, and that could be the unraveling of the piss jar, everything, right? So Love's demise could set up Joe's demise as well, and then that poor baby's gonna be stuck with that fucking family and whatnot. Like,
I'm just like getting Dexter flashbacks, honestly, picturing a season where Love dies, probably in some sort of pool of blood, and then this kid is born into it, just like Dexter. But then you have this thing where he's like trying to take care of the child, and from what I remember, I didn't like that as much in Dexter. I felt like it didn't really that wasn't when the show was in its prime by any means. So I don't know. I just feel like that would take away from what makes the show interesting in the first place. Like, I don't really want to watch Joe take care of a child personally. So I don't know. Either way, give it to us. Sounds like we're pretty excited on this.
So. It just ended time. A year is a long time now for me. It just ended in a way where I can't wait to see what's next. But we're overalls now.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I've said everything. I loved this season. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because, like I said, I think there are some hand wavy stuff. Like even when we talked about when he does when he murders Hendy and he walks out of the house with the bag of all the murder stuff, and the cop just finds the headphones, like, okay, you're good. Like, there's stuff like constantly in the show where, like, okay, they do, like we said, some hand waving. So that's why I can never give it like a perfect score. Yeah, it's goofy, but it still kind of stands up. And then, like I said earlier, some of the Candace stuff I wasn't jiving with, but the rest of the show I was on the edge of my seat. I love the characters. As far as Joe, I like even more some of the new characters, and then I really end up liking Love. So I'm just very invested, because next year it's not like, oh, it's just about what's Joe's adventure. It's like, now what's Joe and Love up to together. So for me, I think the last season I gave like a 7. This is a big improvement for me. I think they really did a good job of making you, like I said, really want more. So a 9 out of 10 for me for you and the Adventures of Joe.
Right.
That's what they should call it from now on.
Yeah, exactly. I think for myself, I'm trying to think of whether or not I think this is better than season 1, right? Because as I mentioned at the beginning, like, I had my expectations in a way better spot. So I don't know if it's just that and why I liked this season more, or if it's because it's a more interesting season. And I'm kind of realistically, I think it's kind of just both of those things, because as I mentioned, I think they're like the side characters that do a really good job of making them interweave between each other, and it makes just this more interesting kind of world aspect instead of just everything revolving around Joe. And I think that's a big thing. And then obviously they take it a different direction, and they also introduced a character that's like on par with Joe in terms of intrigue, I think, or at least they're getting there. I mean, with another season of her being more in the co-protagonist slot, I think we could get there. So, yeah, overall, I think this is a very, very smart way, like innovative way to take this particular show. And I feel like after season 1, I wasn't like chomping at the bit for season 2, even though there was the kind of Candace, I guess, cliffhanger you would call it. So I'm much more anticipated for the next season after just seeing that the last minute of the last episode of this one.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. Yeah. Overall, I think I do like this season more than season 1. I don't know. Maybe it's for every reason that Dylan just
We're
said.
in the same spot.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I know what to expect going into it. I know it's a little bit of like a more comedic,
a little bit whimsical.
Type. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know. I really liked all like the LA jokes that they had, and just the ridiculous like names of people. I thought that was fun. There's definitely some things that I was like, well, that's kind of a little unrealistic. Like when he has Henderson's laptop, basically like for until Henderson dies, I was just like, how is he supposed to get that back? And how is nobody like, oh, my laptop's missing, whatever. I don't know. There's just some like that's just one of a bunch of things that
wasn't
I thought
that a secret laptop? Remember, that was his jack top. Remember?
Oh, I forgot that's what they called it.
It was the hidden one with all of like the gross photos on it. Yeah, that's
fair. Maybe he's not looking for that.
No.
One you don't use every day.
No.
Yeah.
No one call their laptop the jack top, by the way. Doesn't matter what you do with it. Don't do that.
Even if your name's Jack. Don't do
yeah.
Yeah.
And but again, like what I think both of you said, where like I'm a lot more excited for next season than I was for this season. So
Right.
that's definitely shows a good sign that they're doing something right. They're getting people wanting more and more. So I think I'll give it a 9 out of 10, like what Travis gave it. I don't know. I found a lot of enjoyment with it. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, I can't wait to watch the new episode. It's like, oh, we got to go somewhere. Fuck, we don't have 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, let's just power through this. But yeah, and I am really excited to see like a different take on love, because I feel like this season, obviously we get introduced to her, and then you see like her relationship with her family and her brother, and just dealing with like the loss of her ex-husband. But this one, it's really going to be like, now we know she's kind of a psycho. So it'll be interesting to see how, I don't know, how she acts with Joe and with other people.
Yeah.
And we'll always be worried because she could kill anybody. And, like, the dynamic is now like also Joe's also just in danger too. Maybe not in there. Maybe at some point she does decide, oh, I just got to kill Joe, So it's just like she is a wild card.
Maybe
she
becomes more crazy than he is.
Exactly.
And we're scared for him.
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? She's a wild card. She go anyway, so it's a great dynamic.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that review. If you did, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're at 153. We're almost at 200, so we thank you very much for those 5 stars. If you got anything else, we don't need them. Even 4-star we'll take, but anything else, we don't need them. But we are always looking for constructive criticism. If you're going to tell Travis that he drinks too much during a solo cast, that's not constructive criticism. I was sick. Get over it. But you can go and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or down below is the video and audio feeds where you can follow us anywhere from iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Patreon. If you want episodes ad-free, go there. And then, like I said, January 10th, we're going to review our whole slate for the podcast, but also for Patreon. There's going to be stuff on there that is just exclusive to Patreon. You already got stuff like After 9, but we're doing some other stuff up there that is, I think most of you will quite like. So thank you Thank you very much for tuning into this, and we promise you will not be boring.
See you later.
Bye-bye.